All right, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Why Influence podcast. Today we got an awesome guest. Her name is Karla Gregg, and she does a lot with personal branding and helping people overcome barriers with sharing for themselves, as well as helping with social media for other people. And she has a personal brand herself, where she's grown, I believe, about 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. You got about 3,000 on Instagram. I've been watching you because we met back when right before I launched my podcast, actually, and so we've both been monitoring each other's stuff. So it's exciting to finally have you here on the show. So thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's been awesome to see your podcast grow.
Thanks. So in like 2 to 3 words or 2 to 3 sentences, can you just like summarize what your brand is about?
Yeah, so my brand is all about personal development. With that ties in personal branding. And it's all about really trying to become the best version of yourself, both in your life and your professional life, and really being able to tie those in together so you could live the life that you want. So yeah, that's what my overall brand is about, and it really started off with me showing my journey in my professional world, but with that really tying into the personal development and becoming more confident in myself and teaching other people to also become more confident in what they do and who they are.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen you grow a lot in the YouTube videos that you've been creating, putting your face out there and getting more confidence. So it's been awesome to see your
Yeah,
growth there.
thank you.
So before we jump into things, do you mind sharing like an unintended impact or unintended consequence that you've received? So like somebody that you've impacted in a way you didn't expect as a result of sharing?
Yeah, so one of my first subscribers actually, and I still like remember the name and everything, but he created a YouTube channel that shared his weight loss journey. He was somebody who was over like 300 pounds, and within just watching my channel and really seeing my journey of how I put myself out there, he started sharing his journey and his story. And because of that, he's even made like really immense changes in his like professional life, not just in his personal life. So to be able to really see that, like what I want to put out there and teach people and seeing it actually like happen on both ends, like professional and personally, like that has been amazing to see, especially
Nice.
his health transition. Yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't really know the kind of impact you were going to have from sharing the videos you were creating, but this guy like gained confidence and got inspired from your videos.
Yeah. No, it's been really cool to see. Yeah.
Awesome. So before we jump into your why and like deep dive there, you're pretty much across multiple platforms, and you do a lot with YouTube and Instagram and some other platforms. So if there's somebody that's like looking to start a personal brand, because that's something you work a lot with, what would be some of the biggest advice for like a new person wanting to start a personal brand?
I would say to really list out like your personality traits, your passions, your skills, and then really focus on your story, like why you got started on what you and what you're doing, because that's really going to help you stand out as somebody who. Because I mean, what I tell people is like there could be 100 photographers, but they all will have a different story. You have different personality traits, and if you really bring all of those four things: personality, your passion, skills, and stories to your brand, it's really going to differentiate you from other people.
Right. So if someone's a photographer, they can differentiate themselves by adding their stories into it. And now they're not just a photographer, like another number to pick from. It's like an actual human being in person who
Right.
has
It
some.
could, yeah, it could be like I have a friend who's a videographer, but he's also a juggler, right? And just like those two things, if you mix it in together, it's like he'll stand out versus another person who just calls himself a videographer, right? So just like finding those little quirks that make you different and really bringing them to your brand.
Yeah. And so like when someone's trying to brainstorm those things, do you suggest just getting a blank sheet of paper and just like data dumping onto it, or what do you usually
Yeah.
suggest?
So I actually teach this in like because I do coaching, so I help people with their personal brand, and I actually have them. I call it the PPSS system, where it's like what I mentioned: personality, passion, skills, and stories. So I do have them list them
Cool.
out, and based on the ones that really stand out when we're jumping into content strategy, I'm like, okay, pull from those and really start putting them into your content, especially passions and skills. Those two can kind of sometimes get mixed together because, I really make people bring in their skills because sometimes that is, well, most of the cases, that is what you can monetize. And so really helping them figure out ways that they could mix those in without having to completely let go of their passions. Because I know as creators or entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to monetize, we want to grow, but we get so stuck on our passion that we don't end up like growing. I know I did that for a while where I was like, I'm a storyteller. I want to like be an artist and only do stories that I'm like, that are about feelings, and, anything else is just not, I can't do it. And then that really stopped me from growing and monetizing and actually making my brand into a business. So yeah, those four, that system that I teach is really important when getting started.
Yeah, and for you, storytelling was a passion, but also a skill. So you saw that was something that you could monetize, and now you can help other people with coming up with stories for themselves.
Yeah, which is exciting because, like I said, those two can mesh. So then I realized, like, wait, I can still be a storyteller and make money at the same time. Wow, So yeah, it's been really awesome to really be able to share, help other people share their stories, and it almost like it gets me really excited because I still get to really tie in the personal development, which for me is a passion. I'm really all about not just for myself, but helping other people see their fullest potential and become better versions of themselves. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure if that, passion of mine was meant to be like a life coach. And for a while, I was like, should I be a life coach? Should I get certified? What should I do? Do I even know my life purpose? For the longest time. And to really be able to throw like the personal development and still have it be a big part of my personal brand, but also help other people see their fullest potential has been really awesome. As a personal branding strategist. And
yeah, very cool. I couldn't agree more with the advice that you just shared. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So what about like someone that's maybe a little bit more experienced, someone that's been maybe sharing on a larger level for a year or two, and they've got that story down and stuff. Like, what are some things that you would suggest for like that you see that maybe are common mistakes people are making for their personal brands when they're like, at that sort of stage?
Yeah. When they're like in year two, I feel like common mistakes is like constantly selling what they're doing, and forgetting about like the persona behind the brand, like really bringing the human behind the brand. I know that I've made those mistakes like in the beginning. Well, this was kind of like transitioning towards the end of my first year of like being a full-time business owner. I realized that I was just like constantly talking about what I do and not reminding people about like my core values, and like what I stood for as a brand and the things that really made me stand out. So I felt like after year two, people tend to really start copying what other people are doing and be kind of becoming like carbon copies because they realize like, oh man, other people are doing this and that's the trend that's happening. So I should be doing it too, versus like remembering why they got started and remembering like what made them different. So that's something that I see happening. And, I've seen it, like I said, I've seen it happen within my own brand. And I constantly have to remind myself like, wait, no, stand out, be different,
Yeah. So you come up with your, who you are, your unique, proposition, your stories, everything behind you. And then the idea is that you need to keep revisiting that through the cycle of your sharing, and maybe like every once in a while reflect back and look at what you jotted down or what those notes were, so that 2 years down the road you're not that disconnected. Like maybe just try to stay aligned with all that work that you did before starting or as you started getting into it.
Right. And I think it's also really helpful because when you're creating content, you're not all over the place. I mean, I don't know if this is for like second year, but just in general, when working on a personal brand, I know for me, I'm a multi-passionate. And so I wish I could talk about everything, like from like dating to faith to like all the things. And I do like on my YouTube channel, because I've realized that each platform has its place. And before I was really trying to complicate things and make like my Instagram and my YouTube and my Facebook like ideally like connect in every way. And I'm still like working on my YouTube to really make it, because Instagram has been my main platform in the last year. But I think that each, platform has its different use for things, but you should still kind of try to like keep things kind of aligned. And if there is a reason why you're sharing this like random piece of content, really communicating that with your audience and having kind of like a purpose as to why you're sharing that and how it kind of relates to what you do. So anytime I do share like a random story, lately I've been really trying to connect it with like business or, have it have a purpose rather than me just coming on my platforms just to like vent about something random.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just because I've done that on my YouTube channel and it doesn't work out. You start losing views, which doesn't always matter. But when you're a brand, you do have to have some, it does have to be somewhat cohesive, if that makes sense. But yeah.
And that you probably you figure out during all that pre-work that you're suggesting to do is you figure out what that's going to be, and then you try to stay in that lane.
Right.
There's a quote that I had heard recently that if you stay in your own lane, traffic gets out of the way.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah.
So that came to mind for me.
Yeah. It reminds me of like removing the noise. I think in my year 2, which I'm currently at, like I have had to, even though I love certain people's content, I've had to like remove their notifications. So certain like content creators or entrepreneurs who I usually would be so excited to like see their content, I still am, but I have to remove the noise because if I film an idea and then I see their idea and it's similar to mine, like I think, oh my God, I should have added that, or I should have done this, or I'm doing it wrong, right? But it's not wrong. It's my right, and I need to like stay in my lane and just do what I was going to do regardless. So I've had to, cut the traffic and remove the noise, like you said.
Nice, that's awesome. So you started 2 years ago with your personal brand, is that right?
No, I started monetizing. Really, I went full time 2 years ago, but almost 2. It's going to be 2 in July. But God, time passes by. It's really weird. No, I started my personal brand in 2013 or 2012. I think 2012. Wow. Yeah. So 8 years ago. Yeah.
So before that, you weren't sharing on like a larger level.
No, I had a small community and it was just a YouTube channel, and like YouTube was all that I focused on. Instagram was like everything else was just my personal platforms. I didn't try. I was like trying to grow a following or a business. But YouTube was where like I started sharing my journey, and that's what I meant by sharing like my professional journey. I wanted to be a journalist, but I wasn't. Like that's part of my story in my beginning. Like I wasn't confident at all, and I was super shy. But I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, which is kind of like odd. And so in order to get good in front of the camera, because I was horrible in like taking classes in college, I was like, okay, I have to take matters into my own hands. Like, how am I going to get good if I'm not constantly practicing? So I started vlogging to get better on camera. And then that's when
that was around the 2012, 2013 timeframes when you started putting yourself on camera and vlogging. Intentionally to try to overcome a lot of barriers that were in your way.
Yes.
So let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
So for you, when you had this YouTube channel, you've been doing it for a while, but then you're like, okay, it's time to like, self-develop and become more comfortable on camera and stuff. So like, why was it so important to you to, get more comfortable on camera and to feel confident doing the vlog videos? Like, why was that important to you?
So for me, it was important because I knew that in order to get to where I wanted to be, I had to take that first step. And if I didn't take that first step, I would be stuck. I would still be the same shy person who doesn't try to put herself out there, who isn't even trying to become better. And that really, for me in the beginning, it was just professionally. Like I wanted to be a journalist or a storyteller. I wanted to be in front of the camera, and, not being good and not even if I wouldn't have tried, I wouldn't have ever gotten to where I'm at now. But honestly, it really helped me in my life, just being more confident, being able to put myself out there, talking to new people, being confident within myself, just having like love for myself. And so, yeah, I couldn't have imagined not ever picking up the camera and getting started. Like my life would have been so different. I mean, I probably would have gotten better over time. But I mean, I didn't become a journalist, but I was able to still become more confident within myself. And I worked in television for a few years up until 2 years ago when I like went full time on my brand. I was working in television in Hollywood, and in that industry, you have to be assertive. Like you can't be like the shy person who's like, "Excuse me, ma'am." Like you really have to be
Right.
like on top of things, even as like an assistant. So,
All right.
building that confidence helped me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I had a guest recently. His name's Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he's an author, and he was a big advocate for defining your future self. So it's saying
Mhm.
like this is the person that you want to be, and then you figure out how to get there. So for him, he wanted to be an author published by one of the major publishers. And what he found out is you need an email list to do that. So he started blogging, and he grew his email list up to 400,000 people. Uh, and then he was able to get these
Wow.
big book deals as a result of that. But he attributes all of his success to defining his future self, which sounds similar to what you just shared, which is like you saw that you wanted to become somebody. So you saw that self-developing and being more comfortable on camera and growing that confidence would help you get there. So like, what was that future like persona? Like when you were starting your vlogging videos, like who was that future self that you were like, this is where I want to be in the future? Like, I don't know, like how'd you think of that, or who is that person? Or
Yeah. So for me, like, even though in my head at the time I was like, I want to be a journalist, like that really dropped quickly because I realized I didn't. But I wanted to be able to be a public speaker and be comfortable just getting on stage, being myself. Like, even with all my insecurities and still owning them, like even now, like just going live on, your page, I was like, oh really? Like my heart dropped for a little bit, but being able to like just like remove that uncomfortable and like just feel good within like what I'm saying, regardless if I'm not the best at what I'm saying, whatever. Like I just feel so comfortable with myself, and that already is success. But for me, one of the moments where like now I look at that at like the past and see like this is where I wanted to be, and I just hope that I continue to do more of that, is public speaking. Like I always thought it was going to be like a 5-year plan for me to like go on an international stage and talk amongst like a lot of big speakers at a convention. But last year I got invited. It's funny because it wasn't in the United States, but it's in not in my country. But I went to Mexico, and I got to talk about vlogging with purpose, which just getting to talk about vlogging, which was the thing that got me started. And with purpose, like for me, that's so huge, like being able to tell people that you can do your professional goals while being yourself. Because I know, especially as a business person, in the beginning, a lot of us hold back, and we don't want to put our personality out there because it might make us like unprofessional, especially if we're like a little bit of weirdos like myself. Like I worked in Hollywood, I'm a weirdo. So, not being able to share that and feel like I have to be this like cookie cutter business person that I'm not, like, it sucked in the beginning that I felt like I had to hold back who I was, but then getting invited to go on a stage and be myself and talk about vlogging and what I'm passionate about, but also my skills as a professional on a stage, like that was probably one of my favorite moments. And I hope that I can continue to do that. But being that it was before my 5-year plan, like for me, I thought I wasn't going to get on a stage talking about that until like 5 years. And I thought it was going to be this like big thing where I had to like be a millionaire or have millions of subscribers to do that, but I did it with like just 1,000. I think at the time I was like at 1,000 Instagram followers. So that was really cool that I got to live out like a part of my dream.
yeah, and it's so much sooner. Well, congrats, by the way. Just you had a
Thank
5-year
you.
plan, and you got your international speaking gig in
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was less than a year. So I was like, yes. Now COVID has kind of stopped me from reaching out publicly, like to do public speaking gigs, but
Yeah,
podcasting is awesome.
cool. So let's go back to that a little bit. You defined your future self as wanting to be like this public speaker in person, really comfortable sharing yourself authentically and vulnerably. So like, why was it so important for you to be on stages? Like, why is it that you wanted to be public speaking? Like, why is it so important that you grow into being able to have the capacity to do that comfortably?
Honestly, it comes down to really proving a point, not for myself or anybody else, but that in terms of like helping other people, in terms of letting them know, like, if you have like an insecurity, like you could let go of your fears. I wouldn't call it insecurity, but fears. Like if you have fears, like you can let go of them and you can get to where you want to be. So for me, just really inspiring people to be able to want to do what they're passionate about, regardless of like where they come from, who they were, who they are. Just because for me, like, you know, being really shy, mostly because of like a lot of personal reasons growing up and not ever really being able to hold, like I would always have to hold back. I wasn't like, I couldn't speak up about many things, and to finally be able to just speak up and inspire other people to use their voice, to share stories, and especially like personal stories that really they've overcome. Like, I don't know, I just find excitement in that. But it also just makes me really happy when, especially like working with a client who isn't super outgoing in the beginning, and then seeing their transition in terms of how they show up with their audience online and even offline. I've had the pleasure of seeing people in you know, in real life who are confident people, but when it comes to like talking about their brand, they aren't, because they don't want to come off as like super into themselves. And it's like, it's not about being, you know, being into yourself. It's just about, you know, sharing your truth and getting other people excited about what you do, because there is a purpose as to why you're excited about that. So to see them talk about what they do with such confidence, like that gets me fueled up to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I'm sure you see like giant transformations from people that just starting out, figuring out what their story and brand and skill sets are, to, you know, getting into that persona and then growing into that.
Yeah.
So like what I'm getting there is you sort of struggled a little bit when you were younger to, you know, share vulnerably in a big way, and you felt like you wanted to overcome that. And then you were also passionate about helping other people overcome that. And in order to make a bigger impact in helping people overcome their barriers, you have to overcome your barriers first, so that one, you can inspire them, but two, you have the capacity to get in front of those people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, it's like huge to be walk the walk, not just talk the talk. I don't know. I see a lot of, maybe because they're bigger people already, they don't really have to share the beginning of their story. But I think for me, it's really inspiring when I hear somebody, for example, like, you know, Gary Vee talking about how they got started. They're really talking about the beginning journey, because then it kind of inspires you to be like, oh, okay, they didn't just start off confident, or they didn't just start off making money. Like, it really took them time to get to where they want to be. And so for me, like really sharing that journey with my audience and being transparent and more vulnerable, because I do tend to be, sometimes I tend to be too much of an open book, which is funny though, because I am a very private person. Like, I even have a Finsta, like a fake Instagram, because there's like, even though I share a lot and I do choose what I share in my brand, there's some things that like, I have like really odd humor, and there's just some things that I don't like love to put out there. And so just being able to, you know, kind of have that privacy is nice, even though I'm not like some famous person who needs their privacy. Just being like somebody who originally had a lot of walls, like there's moments I still like to have those walls, you know, and I choose to have them. So yeah, I don't always put everything out there online, which is a good thing. You shouldn't, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel very aligned with what you're doing, because like I struggled to share. I mean, that's why I started a podcast, and it was audio only. And then my first 3 episodes, I just asked a question, got an answer, and then I post edited myself asking every question more confidently and post editing. And so like, you know, I was not very comfortable putting my voice out there. And then I had, you know, people challenging me. And so by my 30th episode, my friend interviewed me on a live stream. And then since then I've been doing live stream videos, but before that it was all audio only. And so like, I'm on my own journey of growing, and I'm trying to help other people like overcome those barriers too. So I feel very aligned with what you're doing.
That makes me so happy, because I do remember the first time we met in Atlanta, you did share that you were like introverted, which I would have known, because I felt like you at that point were really trying to put yourself out there. So like, but seeing your transformation, yeah, from the first podcast to now, like it even surprised me. I was like, we're going live? What? I wasn't even ready.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the times where you had to give yourself permission. So like when you were early on, you gave yourself permission to do these vlogs so that you could overcome those barriers. But like, what are some of the times that you really gave yourself permission that was like a big moment for you that like helped you like leap to the next level? Does anything come to mind there?
Yeah, I mean, a few things come to mind, but I'll keep it more on like, I guess, my overall brand was really like when I got started full time in my brand. And when I mean full time, like I do freelance work. So like my brand as like now I'm seeing the fruit of like actually like what would Karla say, Karla Gregg, my personal brand, making money through coaching and like monetizing some a little bit of my YouTube. But like where I really just saw growth was taking a leap into freelancing because I had always been an employee. And then July 2018, I got laid off, which for me was like a dream job because I got to work in like television shows, but I also got to do digital content. So it was like I was living best of both worlds, like still working in TV, but I loved the digital world. And then so I got laid off from that job and realizing like, okay, are you going to go back to finding full-time jobs or are you going to try to, to grow your brand? And for me, it was try to grow my brand, which since I've started doing that, and there's been ups and downs, there's been things that I've had to like take out that I haven't been able to pursue. So like it's hard sometimes because you want to do it all, but you really, in order to focus and grow, you do have to kind of condense the things you're doing, especially as a freelancer. Like I can't be like, I want to do it all plus my client work. I have to respect my clients and put the time into their work as well. But that's when I really just saw that I like let go of fears just to get started because I had been wanting to go full-time freelance since like 2016. Funny thing is I was actually working on like a television show and I vlogged. So be careful what you post online because I vlogged about like, I think the title was called like figuring things out in life or whatever. And it was just a very raw video about me talking about, I don't know if I want to work in television, but I kind of said like I do, but in this very specific area, which wasn't the area that I was working at because I was an assistant. And so, just kind of talking about, I don't know if the digital world's for me or TV. And I was just kind of like venting to my audience. Got let go of that job. That wasn't the one that I got laid off from, but
because of that video.
Yeah, because of that video, but I didn't
Wow.
find out until 2 years later. I went surfing with a friend and she was like, by the way, like, I'm so happy for you that you're finally doing what you're doing. Because at this point, like I was working at my dream job that I got laid off from. And she's like, you're working in digital. That's so great because that's what you wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. And then, she like tells me like that she knew that I got laid off because of my video. And I was like, wait, what video? And then like I had to trace back and I'm like, what? But at the same time,
so for those of you out there that have full-time jobs, when you're sharing, make sure you're cognizant of that because you don't want to. I actually have a friend that lost a job from an Instagram post as well. So it is, you have to be careful if you have jobs or even clients to make sure that you're not putting the things out there that you shouldn't be for where you're trying to go.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't share everything. And just because you have a personal brand doesn't mean you have to be so personal that you share everything,
Yeah.
But no, during that time, I had always wanted to like try to see if I can survive as a freelancer or, really pursue my brand. But I never did it. Like, I'd always be like, yeah, I'm going to start a course or I'm going to do this. And I never would do it. And so the second time I got laid off for not because of bad reasons, but that time I was like, okay, this is a sign. Like I got laid off twice from a job. Like I need to, and that was like in the span of like 4 years, I think. But I was like, this is like God telling me I need to just start, and it was scary because like the first few months I was like living off kind of savings, didn't save, had to move back home. So there was a lot of like ego that had to be dropped because I had been living in the city, like in Los Angeles for 7 years. So that's like everyone's dream to live in this like big creative city. And for me to like have to leave that to pursue what I wanted, like it was weird because it was like I was pursuing what I wanted, but at the same time I was letting go of a life that I had been so used to. And it was a cool life, so having to let go of that ego and just being like, I'm moving back to my hometown. Like it worked out because now I am doing what I want to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's funny how things sort of go full circle there. You had your dream job and now you got your dream job. So
Yeah, I think it's all mindset too. You really have to be thankful for what you have and not always be thinking about what you want, but be like, okay, what do I have now that I love to do, and know that with hard work you're going to get to where you want to be. Because there's still a lot that I want to do. I'm not
right.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always use her as an example because everyone knows who she is.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you went through this transition of, you had the job, you built a personal brand, and then you utilized the skill set that you had to make an income from sort of utilizing your personal brand to help get you clients, but also, that skill set applied to, helping other people. So like, do you mind just sharing like some of the types? Because I've had a lot of listeners request like, types of income you can make as an influencer. And it sounds like you've got a lot of experience not only for yourself, but also for your clients to see what works for them. Do you mind just from like a high level, like sharing, what you've seen as far as like maybe people that are just getting into it, like how they can survive to like, maybe they're more established and like where their sort of income sources could come from?
Yeah. So one of the biggest ways that I was able to monetize was through services at first. Really utilizing like the skills that I had to start making money so I can actually make my brand sustainable. Because when I first started, I was trying to like live that influencer life where I was like, oh, brands are going to sponsor me, with like my 3,000 followers, probably less than that. And that wasn't going to that wasn't going to have it. Like the most that I've ever gotten paid for a brand sponsorship is $500, which is awesome. Like, and I'm very selective on the brands that I say yes to. So even in the 8 years of being like an influencer before I, became service-based for a freelancer, brands would approach me for things and they would be like a Pokemon set card. I mean, I'm not saying I love Pokemon, but that has nothing to do with my brand. Like I'm not a like anime
Right.
channel. So even if they were like, hey, we'll pay you this much, I'd be like, no, I'm good, And yeah, it kind of sucks with it's money. Like who doesn't like money? But I was very protective about the community and really coming off as authentic and not just posting about anything that is offered to me.
Right.
So because of that, depending on influencer sponsored deals, like just wasn't for me. So I went through the service space. So really figuring out what am I good at, writing those things down, right? Going through that list of things and passions, and then being like, maybe I can get paid to like motivate people. But it's like, you're not there yet, like people aren't paying me so I can give them a pep talk. So then being like, okay, well, I'm good at social media. I'm good at storytelling. I'm good at writing, videography. Great. So I started doing some videography gigs, even I consider myself one, but not the best. So I realized I was more of like social media strategist. So really owning those skills and helping brands grow their social media pages. And then because of building up that experience and really within working with brands, because I work more with direct to consumer brands, then helping people, entrepreneurs who own those brands and really focusing on coaching. So coaching is huge. I'm not saying everyone who is wanting to start off should be a coach, but that's just something that helped me monetize like my brand, but also work with clients. So it's a little bit of, sharing, like using my personal brand, but also helping them with their brand. And then another one is creating content for people, maybe not as an influencer, but as almost like an agency. Like I call myself like a boutique agency because I use my name as as a business, but I'm just creating content for other people. I don't really use my influence. Like I don't say, hey, like with my 3,000 followers, like I'll take a photo and you pay me $200 to post it. Like I'm not an influencer really in that sense. But I do use it. I use my brand as almost like a portfolio where I'm like, this is the type of content that I can create. Now for this amount of money, I can create it for you. And that's something that my friend actually taught me, and I'm doing more of, where, he's like, you don't always have to use your following to like that, that way didn't work for me, especially because I'm not in like the millions. So that's a good way to make money. Creating a digital product is obviously huge right now because of what's been going on with COVID, but like having that idea, start really, not interviewing, but like market research your audience, where in polls on Facebook Lives or whatever, I start asking them, like, what do you guys want to see of? Like, what would you pay for? Would you pay for this type of product or this type of product? What kind of content do you like seeing more of, right? So start really analyzing why people follow you and figure out a product that you can sell to them. I'm more of like creating a high ticket product because I rather work with just like a few people who believe in paying a big amount of money that I can really help them and pour into them, rather than saying like, oh, I'm just going to sell a $5 item and like my 1,000 followers are going to buy it. That doesn't work out that way. So for me, I rather have like top, even though I have 8,000 followers on YouTube, like if I could just have 100 top fans who are buying what I'm pouring my heart into, even though it costs more money, like that's just the way that I found that it works for me, for my audience.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. It helps to see that.
Hopefully I helped.
Yeah. So I talked to the guy, Nate Woodbury. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he manages YouTube channels for people. So he'll rent an Airbnb and get the person to go there, and they'll record like 20 to 30 days of content in one day. And then he's got a team that creates the artworks and schedules it out and does all the keywords and the descriptions. So he is like a boutique for YouTube. But he talked about how one of his clients gets like dozens of views on his YouTube videos, like not a lot, maybe less than 100, but he's still, driving it through like a funnel and then making like 6 digits a year from that. So, it's not all about the numbers, especially in today's world, to be able to drive income. It just depends on how you do it.
Yes.
And I talked to a guy yesterday, actually, Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. He's got about 260,000 YouTube subscribers, and the majority of his income is coming from ad revenue. So he hasn't really tapped into other streams of income. So people make income in different ways, and it's awesome to hear that you're able to make a living and do pretty well, not needing a lot of numbers. And I think that's a good reminder for people. It's like it's not all about the numbers.
Definitely not. Yeah. And that's good, that you mentioned the ads thing, because it is possible to make money from ads, but obviously a lot of you have to be strategic and you do have to niche down with that. So for me, that's kind of been a problem because in the beginning I wasn't niching down. I was just calling myself a personal development channel, and I would throw anything, and I still do. So because of that, the ads are affected. So realizing, okay, well, I'm going to have to do something different because ads are clearly not working for me. But they could work for, people who are very focused in a specific topic or, style of content.
Right. So what's the future look like for you? Like you talked about how you've been primarily pushing Instagram more the past year. On YouTube, you're still creating content, just not as consistent. So like, what's the next, year, 2 years? Like, you still talked about wanting to do public speaking. So like, what's the future look like for you? Like, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I really look forward to getting back on YouTube. I really do want to get back on YouTube in a consistent way and figure out a way to like leverage the content that I make on there and put it on Instagram. So really using what I teach on my YouTube and kind of like cleaning that up, because for me, YouTube is just such a great platform to really be discovered by a new audience, but also share longer format content. Because for myself, like I don't like watching content on IGTV for long periods of time, but I could do it on YouTube. And since I am like a storyteller and I love to talk and share, like I think YouTube is just that platform for me when it comes to longer format. But really public speaking, like I would love to continue to build a brand that stands out and that people could resonate with, that could get me opportunities on stage, either talking about, getting started with your brand or even social media strategy. I'd love to do more like motivational type of public speaking. That would be awesome. Like a TEDx, that would be really cool. Yeah, cool. But yeah.
Yeah. As far as TEDx goes, I've heard that it's not as difficult as people think to get into one because they're all over the place. And it's like more like when you're ready, or you can start applying and then just try to get into one. So
then I need to get ready. I think it's on my end that I would have, because like the thought of a TEDx or a TED Talk would be amazing. Yeah. But I'm like, am I ready? Let's fix some things up before I apply.
I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the listeners here today are people that are just starting out, or maybe haven't started, or maybe are doing things and want to go bigger with their voice. So, before I open the floor to talk a little bit more about your brand and how people can follow you and reach out to you, do you have any last words for the listeners here today?
Yeah, I would just say, like, if you want to do something, really just get started, take that next step. I know that's so cliche, but like a lot of the times people think about the bigger picture and it seems so scary or so like you can never reach it. But if you take that like first step, like I did, pick up the camera, vlog, and then next, okay, share it on YouTube. You just kind of take it step by step. It's going to be so much easier. But you don't want to look back at your life and be like, dang it, I should have done that. I should have gone on that bandwagon, like, you want to be like, I am on the wagon. I got on it and I'm moving forward. So yeah, that's the advice I have.
Okay. And I know we didn't talk about it, but when you took that first step, like what was it like for you? Like you pushing like submit on that first vlog or something, like, what did that feel like for you?
It was a little scary, but at the same time, it was like I felt accomplished because I'm like, oh wait, this is wasn't that hard. And then I did it for 30 days when I got started, like consistently. That was the goal, to do
Oh,
it.
wow.
Well, 31 days to be exact. And so for me, it was, I think the upload wasn't so hard because I wasn't sharing it. The hard part was actually starting to share my videos, where I realized, okay, Karla, you're not getting any views because you're unintentionally not sharing it to your Facebook, your friends, or So I think the scary part for me wasn't really uploading. It was like actually telling people that I started a YouTube channel and sharing it, which wasn't probably until like the first and second week. And even when I would share with people, I'm like, oh, like I'd be cringing, like watching myself. And now like I don't mind watching myself, not in a narcissist way, but just like it feels like it's not even me when I'm like watching myself sometimes. Yeah.
So you did, when you started the vlogging, you did 30 days every day a video?
Yeah, so I did 31 days in August. So back in the heyday of YouTube, there was this challenge called Veda, which was vlog every day in August. So that's when I started, and I started vlogging day 1 of August till the end. Yeah, and would edit, like I would film the day and then edit it that night and then upload it by the morning. So yeah, I had more time back then. I would never do that again. Yeah.
But I think that's good for jumping in with both feet, and you don't have time to really think about it, and then you waited like 2 weeks to share it with the community. I think that was a good little system that you did for like building the confidence and growing into that.
Yeah. So even if like, people who are getting started, you don't have to share what you're doing to the people. You can keep it to yourself, but start practicing, start doing what you want to do. Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Great advice. Thanks. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Like if someone's listening today, which I encourage you, if you are, if you got some value from Karla, then I definitely encourage that you go check out her Instagram, check out her YouTube, send her a private message or leave a comment and just tell her that you got some value from her coming on here today. But what's the best way for people to find you and to reach out?
Yeah, you can find me on whatwouldkarlasay.com. That's Karla with a K, by the way. So yeah, because I'll have all my social medias linked there, my social media accounts. But if you follow me on Instagram, I'm always hanging out on stories. And if you send me a message, I'll probably respond to you in a voice memo because I just like to be personal like that. So yeah, send me a message if you have any questions.
Nice. And I'll make sure to, in the show notes of the episode, that I'll be linking to your website and all your social medias there. So everyone, if you didn't catch that, or if you're driving, then just go to the website, check out the show notes, and you can get over to Karla's stuff over there.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to come on today and sharing your journey and sharing so much advice with us today.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And before we go, I'm still on my journey of growing and stuff. So do you have any feedback for me in regards to the podcast or just anything in general? Any feedback?
In feedback, I think you're doing great. I would challenge you. I like to challenge people. So I would challenge you to, after this whole thing is over and we can leave our houses and interact with people, I challenge you for the first week to go meet 3 new people in real life. Just like put yourself out there.
Just
I feel like
in general, just go somewhere.
Just start a conversation. Yeah. Like if you're in line, just be like, hey, how's it going? And like, how's your like week been or whatever. I don't know. I feel like that might be hard for some people now, or it might be exciting and easy because we all want to talk to people. But yeah,
Yeah.
Just a good challenge.
Okay.
Let me know if you do it.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. So I've got a challenge for you then.
Okay, cool.
Likewise. It's sort of a big one, so you'll have to see. But I challenge you to by the end of the year, at least be accepted into a TEDx talk.
Accepted. Wow, that's huge. Okay, I'm down. I'm gonna have to clean up some things and like work on a structure. I'm down.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And let me know if you do that.
Okay. Awesome.
And if you do that, if you do that, we'll come on here and we'll do a follow-up interview and talk about it.
About the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yay! I'm down.
Cool.
I'm gonna put that on my board.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on here today.
Thanks. This is great. I had a great time chatting with you.
Yeah. Thanks. You too.